Hi, I'm Jennifer Medwick, and I'd love for you to join me for a photographic, colorful tour of the grounds of Fort Fisher State Historic Site. Arriving at Fort Fisher puts us on a razor-thin strip of land at the very southern tip of New Hanover County, North Carolina. Do you live near a body of water? You probably have at least a small one near your house, like a creek or a pond. But Fort Fisher is sandwiched between two huge bodies of water, the Cape Fear River and the Atlantic Ocean. And at the time of the American Civil War, Fort Fisher was in a perfect spot to provide an important line of defense for the Confederate Atlantic port city of Wilmington, located just 20 miles upriver. We're here at Fort Fisher on a sunny, summery day. A day where hundreds of beachgoers have crowded along the water's edge to splash in the waves, play frisbee, and build sandcastles. Have you ever built a sandcastle? Well, how about a 30-foot tall sandcastle with tunnels and bunkers? That's what the Confederate soldiers who built Fort Fisher have to do, over and over again. These earthen defenses could resist bullets and cannonballs better than wooden or brick structures. But, safe to say, building them was no day at the beach. Today, Fort Fisher boasts a network of paved and nicely landscaped walking trails just south of the colorful homes of Curie Beach. But in January of 1865, when Union soldiers, sailors, and Marines attacked Fort Fisher from all sides, the landscape was very different. Let's try to think what it was like for a group of Union warriors to try to sneak into the fort from the ocean. The first part might be hard to imagine on such a bright, beautiful day, but weather records show the air was frigid cold during this January battle, and the wintertime ocean wouldn't have been much warmer. Have you ever jumped into ice-cold water and couldn't help but shiver? That's what the Union soldiers and Marines who trudged through the surf and onto the beach must have been doing. The second obstacle these Union troops would have faced is still here today: dunes covered in thick vegetation. Gnarly, weather-beaten oaks and myrtles, dense, twisted underbrush, and patches of tall, wiry marsh grasses. Have you ever been on a hike and wandered off the beaten path? It can be easy to lose your way, and in 1865, it sure must have been tough for the attacking forces to stay in formation as they pushed through this wild coastal landscape. Frigid air, icy waves, blowing sand, and prickly brush. If only the only obstacles facing the Union forces trying to take Fort Fisher were natural. But of course, Confederate soldiers would not easily surrender their fort. Have you ever used a crosswalk? This one, for instance, invites Fort Fisher visitors to easily and safely pass from the ocean side of the grounds to the riverside. But to make the same short trip in January of 1865, Union soldiers and Marines would have had a far more dangerous course. They would have had to scale this tall, sharp fencing, all while being shot at. And lastly, remember those tall earthen bunkers? Yes, to finally take Fort Fisher from Confederate hands, Union forces would have to scale their steep slopes. Cold, wet, tired, and amid nearly continuous gun and cannon fire, that is exactly what they were able to do on the night of January 15, 1865. Union troops would recapture Wilmington soon after, and in April of the same year, the Confederacy fell altogether and the Civil War was over. Thank you so much for joining me on a trip to Fort Fisher.